Here we go. Alright, so first step, declare a module. We're going to declare a database, and we're going to move two record sets. So we're going to move, I see customer T and customer T2. So we're going to go dim. We'll call it C1, because we can name it anything we want, as record set. This is your first table we're going to turn into RAM and manipulate it. Dim C2 as record set. Or you can just double click it. Step 2. Set the objects. First thing you always do is set, and you always do this in lowercase, don't try to do capitalized, because the dim statement dictates the capitals. So you know you didn't make a mistype. If you do it in lowercase, then we hit return carriage, it'll capitalize it or make it to whatever this says. Like we can make this a capital B, and then when you go here, JDB, I'm sorry, set JDB equals current database. And to do that, you go current DB, and you don't do a minus sign, you do an equal sign. It'll be very helpful. And watch this when you carriage return it. This DB capitalized, so you didn't. That means the computer took all this. You see the B here. Now, if you change the B to lowercase here, when you keep to lowercase, you see that it turns this one to lowercase. That means this dictates what the object looks like, and now you're setting it. Let's go set the next one. Okay, so now you just got to memorize this. So set C1 equals JDB dot open record set just type it out. Customer T DB open Dynaset. And let's see if it took.
You did ASP.
Yeah, so see it didn't take because it didn't capitalize. But DB. And because it did a capital here and a capital here, I mean it took. And then I'm not a great typer, so I'm just going to go here, copy, Control C, Control V, make this 2 here, and make this 2, add a 2 here, right? Now we open our two tables up. And then on the bottom, always, while you're thinking about it, because otherwise you might forget, you want to close your objects out, otherwise you could leak RAM. It used to be the case, but this is the proper way to code. If anybody looks at your code and you don't do this, you look lazy. So you always start with the record sets closing. The last thing you close out is always the current DB. So you go C1.close, C2.close, and then JDB.close. And this is just important to have that. Oh, they capitalize. Yeah, okay. Okay, so now we've opened up our record sets. Now we want to look at what we want to do table wise. So let's go over here to these tables. Let's just take a quick peek here. We've got these records here. Let's see what T2 has. These records here. We have an empty database. And I see that now I'm going to go to design view. Let's just start jotting down the fields that we want to move. So I'm going to go design view, do a right mouse click on the table, go to design view. We're going to grab, it's super important to grab these names exactly the way they should be. go here, and I just grab all my fields, put a thing in front, so I'm just collecting right now. I'm gonna take the first name, the last name, company name, address.
Why'd you just type?
Let me see. I'm a crappy typer. See what I mean? And zip. You get the idea. I'm just gonna move these records today for now. So now we want to put these into proper syntax. So now step 3 is move to the first record. And that's as simple as doing C1 dot move first. Remember, the computer is just a computer. It's not very smart, so you have to literally tell it every little thing to do. This first, and again, if it capitalizes, it means it took, and it took. So that's the first thing. So these are called operations. So here we are. Now we're gonna go. I'm gonna grab this. Control X. Control X is cut. Control V is paste. Now we're going to go step 3, step 4 is start loop. Start, do, while, loop. First thing you do with the do while loop is you now that we move CL dot first, the syntax is this exactly. Do space while, this starts the operation. C1 dot end of file equals false. So this loop will keep looping until the end of file goes from true to false, because that's just the syntax. So you take an enter, you can see how so end of file. See how you can also put your single quotes on the end of here. It's just good. It's good to notate as you move along here. Okay, so we did that, and always when you do something like this, you got to finish the container part of this, which is they call it a block, I guess, code block. If you do this without this, you'll get a debug. These all work together. So all this stuff's going to go in the middle here in a little bit. Okay, so step 3, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start the operation. Now this is where you have to. This is the next operation. So first thing we're going to do is now you have to imagine you have all these fields in this table C1, and we're going to copy them over to table C2. So for what we do is we do so watch this. So first thing I do is table C2 dot add new, and you know it takes when it goes capital, and then when you do that, you always finish it with C2 dot update. These two work in tandem together. You could do edit. You could change this to edit if you wanted to change the field in C2. So if you type the word edit, that'll change the field. But in this particular case, we're going to add a new field. Add new. That's what it's called. Okay, so now in between here, we're going to put what fields we're going to add to what. So let's look at C2 real quick. You have the same names. That's awesome. Beautiful. Zip. Right up to zip. Hey, how about that? So, okay. So now we'll go back to this code window. And we got right up to zip. Just by chance, we had the right fields. Okay, so now we just simply wash, rinse, and repeat. So we're going to do C2. Bang. Bang is exclamation mark. That's what code talk is.
What's the function now? What's the purpose?
So I'm going to walk. So C2 in this field in C2, I'm going to call X for a second as a holder, so you don't get a complaint from the database. Equals C1 bang X, and this will be the format that we can use all the way down.
I know, but what does the bang mean?
Oh, bang means it connects the table C2, bang the field name. So and that's how you find the field within a table. It's just the syntax that is used in Visual Basic. And we're going to just go like this. So we got about 6 or 7 of those things. So now we're going to take first name, Control X, cut, replace. Last name, Control X, Control V, Control V, X, V, X,
What do you say?
V.
There's one table says zip, one says zip code.
Okay, that's cool. And by the way, you'll get a debug if that happens. So that's what I think about this is it doesn't, it'll correct you, but that's good. Good eye. So we'll fix that. Well, let's just put these in for now, and then we'll go and check the fields.
Or we can adjust the field.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It could be anything you want it to be. And the other table. X, V, okay. Now as you stated, I always like to put one space in between. This is just another thing. People that code like to be able to read it like a book. You could put 15 spaces, but it's just this is what everybody does. So we just want to stay in line with other people that read this. It's not embarrassing. And you want to suck all this up so everything's together. So this whole block is together. And let's don't forget to do a C1 dot move next, and I'll walk you through the logic of this in a second. Suck it all up. Now we got nice and tight code right there. Now we're gonna check this right quick.
Wait, really quick. I know that you set dim C1 and C2 as a record set, but how does it know that C1 and C2 are these tables? How's it gonna pull data from the tables?
So this by setting this
Oh,
record
okay,
set,
okay, yeah.
this is where by doing this throws the table into the RAM of the computer, puts it into Etherware, and this does the same thing for this. But now by doing these two things right here, you're creating two things that are sitting out in space.
Okay.
And it's so okay. So now let's close this out, and as you said, we're going to check this other table because there might be a syntax error. So design view on table 2, bring it over, and zip code on the other one, right? So
Just zip.
no, but this C2 is zip
Yeah.
code, right?
So just
Yeah, so type in zip code. Oh, sorry, zip code. Otherwise you get debug. So let's check it real quick. We got first name, last name, company name, address with a bad misspell, so R-A-D, let's get rid of that D. This is great because now you're learning. City, state, zip code,
that's just his address.
and that's enough. So by doing this, I'll walk you through. You declare the modules, you set your database first, always first, and always last. Otherwise it'll debug. And then you got your record set open. You move to the first record of the table 1, C1, which is what you want to move. And you do while C1 is in the file, so you're going to loop through table C1, every record in C1, until this becomes false, which goes to record. It literally just goes record to record to record, all the way down to here, to this one, and then it goes boom, it hits this one here, it goes, whoa, false, and then it kicks out. That's all the do while loop does. So that's into file equals false. Super straightforward. So here we go, and then what we're doing is we're grabbing as we go along the way. We're making C2. We're adding a new record into C2, and we're setting this field with this field. That's all we're doing. And we're looping through, and this move next, because computers don't think that you have to tell them everything. It does an update, and then moves to the next record, and this loop literally brings it back up to the top, and the loop back up to the top, loop back, loop, top, loop, top, all the way through. You have a million records. It just loops like a machine. And by the way, this is so fast. If there were a million records doing this, it would take you inside of about 3 to 5 seconds to move all those records over. That's how fast this computer works, because it's all local tables. And by the way, Amazon, our database is pretty much close, because somehow Amazon made a really fast database. So it might take 5 to 10 seconds to move a million records. So let's try it out. Oh, I'm going to throw in a little thing to note. See, you have this thing instead. Since we're not doing this inside of a form, or just in a module for now, and that's fine. I'm going to show you. You go debug. Debug dot print. Don't think too much about what this means. In quotes, you go start, and I always put a now function. Now function is puts the time, the date, and the time to the second of starting, and you always finish it to the end. This is just, bless you. This is just a
put a space right there, Bounds. Start.
Yeah, because you want to go start space time, end space time. And so let's make it a string. See, it's a string. I forgot the most important part of this here. All of this we're going to cut paste. You always have to put this in a module, so this would never even work in the first place. So we're going to call public space sub. We're going to name this thing do it. I don't know. Open close parentheses. And once you do this, it puts an end sub, and you put everything inside there. If you don't do that, every module has to have that. Remember, I showed you that call function early on. If you do call do it on one of these forms, it'll go back to this module, run this thing, and then and do all the coding back here. But now let's just run this thing to see the debug.print stuff. We're going to do view immediate windows. So you just have to remember, immediate windows is always what you do. I leave this window up at all times, and it shows you what's happening in the code. You could step into the code. I'm going to save off the module. So let's just rip it. First of all, we got all these data. We're going to move 16 records from this table to this table. Let her rip, and you run. Let's see, it happened inside of a second. That's called moving records. Once you're able to move records, you're able to do anything. And that is the end of this presentation.